and no longer required the bumps as the earlier optical systems did. A crucial part of the upgrade was the introduction of more effective ammunition, including new APFS rounds. A Chilean Army Leopard 1V. The Leopard tank could be fitted with bolt-on polycarbonate, Lexan, armor panels, which have increased the effectiveness of armor. The first modified vehicle was delivered in early 1987. Since then, almost all users of the Leopard 1 have applied similar changes to their own vehicles, and in most ways the 1A5 can be considered the standard Leopard 1 today. In the Netherlands, an improved version equivalent to the A5 called Leopard 1 Verbetered, improved, was developed. 5. The same version is still in service with the Chilean Army. 6. Leopard 1A6. The Leopard 1A6 prototype was a single Leopard 1A1 test, modified with additional armor on the turret and equipped with a 120mm L/44 gun. The project was ended in 1987, as the Leopard 2 was in widespread service at this point and the 1A5 offered a more reasonable upgrade path for a fraction of the cost. Modified and derivative vehicles. An armored engineering vehicle DAX, Badger, German Army. A Bergepanzer II, armored recovery vehicle, German Army. Simultaneous to the production of the battle tanks, a number of engineering, bridging and recovery vehicles were developed, as well as a number of versions used in the anti-aircraft role. The most well-known Leopard variants are the bridge layer Beaver, Bergepanzer II armored recovery vehicle, Pioneer Panzer II DAX, Badger, armored engineer vehicle, and the Leopard self-propelled anti-aircraft gun. The Warsaw Pact equivalent of the Leopard is the ZSU-23-4. Marconi Electronic Systems once offered conversions to the Marksman Spark for existing users of the Leopard 1. The Leopard 1 chassis would burst to carry the Marksman turret. The Canadian Army operates the Beaver Armored Vehicle Launched Bridge, Taurus ARV, and Badger AEV, all based on the Leopard 1. The United Kingdom's Royal Marines operate a vehicle known as Hippo Beach Armored Recovery Vehicle. The Hippo is a conversion of a Leopard 1A5 chassis by Alvis Moelv. The main alteration has been the replacement of the turret with a raised superstructure that resembles the wheelhouse of a boat. The original 830 HP, 634 kilowatts, diesel engine has been retained, but the gearing-off transmission had been lowered, reducing the vehicle's road speed to 32 km per hour, 20 miles per hour, but increasing tractive effort to 250 kN, 56,000 lbf. A bridge layer Beaver, with armored vehicle launched bridge. Other modifications include the addition of working platforms, a nosing block, raised air intakes and an auxiliary power unit. This raised the weight of the vehicle from 42.5 tons to 50 tons. The Hippo has a fording depth of 2.95 m, 10 feet, and can pull vehicles up to 50 tons weight or push off from the beach a 240-ton displacement landing craft. Gilded Leopard, Iber and Kiela. Almost as soon as the Leopard was introduced into service in 1965, Porsche was awarded a contract to study further improvements to the existing design, while awaiting deliveries of the MBT-70 in the mid-1970s. This original Gilded Leopard, Vergoldete Leopard, program expired in 1967 with no production order. In 1967, it had already become obvious that the MBT-70 would be a failure. The agreement between the US and the Federal Republic of Germany forbade any national development of an MBT apart from technological experimentation, so a new tank project was begun under the designation of Experimental Entwicklung or Experimental Development, 2 prototypes of which were built. When the MBT-70 program was ended, a further contract was offered under the name Iber, with an emphasis on using as many technologies from the MBT-70 as possible, but without the problematic XM150152. mm 6.0 in, combined gun forward/MGM-51 Shilala missile launcher. Two prototype vehicles were reconstructed using a new chassis from Porsche with the road wheels from the MBT-70 and the original Leopard engine. This was combined with a new women turret, mounting the MBT-70's Rheinmetall 120mm smoothbore gun. Some also mounted the original 105mm L7. These were considered promising enough that 7 more were ordered, this time powered by the MT engine designed for the MBT-70. When this happened, the experimental Entwicklung team went public with the alternative design which they called the Keila, a synonym of IBA. In 1971, the Minister of Defense Helmut Schmidt decided to abandon the IBA project and build 17 prototypes of a Leopard 2, based on the Keila design, which had a turret with spaced sloped armor. The maximum weight was to be 50 tons. During the 1973 Yom Kippur War, 1950s and 1960s generation tanks were badly beaten by wire-guided missiles, and it was realized that dramatically improved armor protection was needed. The decision was made to allow the tank to increase its weight to the next classification, military loading class 60 tons. A new design effort was started, with the spaced armor replaced with a much denser perforated armor assemblage. The new design would go on to augment and, after the Cold War, sometimes replace the Leopard in many countries' armies. Operational history. Australia. In 1974, the Australian government confirmed the purchase of the Leopard, with a total of 101 vehicles being acquired, consisting of 90 MBTs, 5 bridge layers and 6 armored recovery vehicles. 2 Marievs were purchased later. The first Leopards arrived in Australia from Germany in 1976, ending a selection and trial process against the US M67 series that started in 1971, when the Army decided it needed a replacement for its British Centurions, which had served since 1952 and had been deployed during the Vietnam War. Australian Army Leopard as 1-1 exercise, 2005. In March 2004, the decision was made to replace the Leopard 1 with reconditioned US M101 Abrams AIM.8. The first 18 of 59 M101 Abrams arrived in September 2006. The M88A2 Hercules is concurrently replacing the Leopard family of support variants in Australian service. The Leopard 1 was operated by the 1st Armoured Regiment and was officially withdrawn from service in July 2007. Their guns were never fired in combat operations. Some of the retired tanks were offered to military museums or RSA clubs. 9. Belgium. The Belgian Army received 334 Leopard 1B between 1968 and 1971. They equipped 8 tank regiments, each equipped with 40 Leopards, and the Armour School. The first regiment to receive the Leopard was the 4th Lancers, followed by the 1st Lancers, 2nd Lancers, 3rd Lancers, 8th Lancers, 1st Guides, 2nd Guides and finally the 2nd Mounted Rifles. From 1974, they were modified with a gustabilization system and an automatic firing direction system, Automatisches Verleidingssystem, AVLS, from Subca. This system allowed the gun to fire on the move. In 1984, the Army Command decided to upgrade 132 Leopard to the A5 standard as Leopard 1A5B. At the end of the Cold War, there was a drastic cut in the number of tanks and 128 were sold to Brazil. The upgrade started in 1993 and was completed in 1997. The upgrade included a new gun firing direction system with thermal imaging, a laser rangefinder and a muzzle reference system. At that time, 4 regiments were still equipped with the Leopard 1A5B. At the end of the 1990s, the remaining 4 regiments amalgamated into 2 tank regiments, the 1 ST/3 Road Lancers and the 2 ND/4 TH Lancers. In 2010, the 2 ND/4 TH Lancers was disbanded. Around 40 Leopard 105B were kept operational in the 1 ST/3 Road Lancers and Carabiniers Prince Budwig Grenadiers. The 1 ST/3 Road Lancers is no longer a tank regiment, but a medium infantry battalion identical to the rest of the medium infantry battalions of the Belgian Army except for having a single squadron of Leopard 105B. Belgian Leopards have served in Kosovo. In 2014, following the government's decision to replace all land component tracked vehicles, Leopards, AIFV, and M113, with PIINHADF 90S, 10. Belgian Leopards were retired from service, with most tanks being put on display used for target practice, or sold. 11. Inoperable to a Belgian company. 12. During Eurosatory 2022, John Cockerill offered the Cockerill Medium Tank 3105 upgrade package for Leopard 1 tanks. The prototype for the upgrade integrated the hull of the Leopard 105B, with a Cockerill 3105 turret. The only modification to the hull is the installation of an adapter ring for the new turret and an electronic cable. The turret is armed with a 105mm Cockerill 105 HP with a 12-round autoloader and a 7.62mm coaxial machine gun, with both thermal and day sights. The installation of the new turret reduces the tank's weight by 5 tons and the tank crew to 3 personnel. The prototype was converted at the John Cockerill facility in Orange and underwent firing tests at the Suips military base in March 2022. 13. 14. The Belgian Army also had the following variants: 36 Armored Recovery Vehicles, ARV/TRV. 17 Pioneer Tanks, Armored Engineers. 55 Leopard anti-aircraft tanks, withdrawn from service. 12 Driving School Tanks. 9 Legion AVLB, Armored Vehicle Launched Bridge. Canada. A Canadian Leopard C1 at Base Borden Military Museum. A Canadian Leopard C2 on display at the Royal Military College of Canada. A Canadian Leopard C2 Mexes, en route to Afghanistan, October 2006 as a replacement for the Centurion tank. Canada acquired 114 Leopard C1 tanks, equivalent to Leopard 103 with laser rangefinder, in 1978-79 for its land forces. Most of these tanks were stationed in Germany during the Cold War, with a few retained at Canadian Forces Base Gagetown, New Brunswick for training. In 1976, prior to delivery of these new Leopards, the Canadian government leased 35 Leopard 102 tanks from the contractor in order to begin training crews from the 4 Canadian Mechanized Brigade Group, 4CMBG, based in West Germany. 15. These tanks equipped the Royal Canadian Dragoons, RCD, that competed against other NATO tank crews and won the Canadian Army Tank Competition in 1977. 15. While investigating the possibilities of increasing the Leopard's armor prior to a refit, the turret armor on close-up inspection was 1.5-inch and turret wall cast 0.75-inch steel. The belly armor weighs approx. 2.25-inch and cast frame steel 0.75-inch steel. Skirt covering reds, tracks, was 1-inch rubber knot steel. Additional armor weighs applied on the forward half of the skirt during the refit, as well as increased 0.6-inch steel on the upper hull sides and 1.1-inch steel on the upper glacis, although only a small handful of C1s received a complete refit. The refit included adding thermal night vision equipment. 5 or 6 Leopard C1 tanks had an extremely thick Mexas appliquium kit applied, made by German firm IBD Diesenroth Engineering. These tanks, designated Leopard C1 Mexas, served with Lord Strathcona's Horse, Royal Canadians, in the 1999 PFOR mission in Kosovo. They were later upgraded with the same sights and fire control system as the Leopard C2, see below. Starting in 1996, the 114 Leopard C1 tanks in service were due to be upgraded to the Leopard 105 standard, designated as the Leopard C2, at a cost of CA $139 million. The turrets of 123 surplus Leopard 105 tanks purchased from the German Defense Ministry were fitted into the existing hulls. 9 turrets were reserved for spare parts and training, and the German tank hulls sold back to the upgrade contractor. For the process, the original Leopard 103 turrets had their main armament removed first, then were removed from the original C1 hulls. The modified Leopard 105 turrets were then fitted onto the C1 hulls. The removed L7A3 105mm guns were refitted on top new turrets. Due to the complexity of the upgrade process, of the 114 tanks, 66 tanks were successfully upgraded. The first updated Leopards, now named the Leopard C2, entered service in November 1999, at CFB Gagetown, New Brunswick. The Leopard C2's turret was modified according to the Canadian Army's request, with new radios being installed, and new stowage containers being fitted to the rear of the turret. Aside from the requested add-ons, the biggest update for the Canadian Leopard tank fleet was the implementation of the Atlas Electronic MS-18 fire control system module, which featured a similar computerized setup as the C1's subcapes, a laser rangefinder, and thermal imager. 18 Leopard crew gunnery trainers were purchased at the same time. Canada also operates the Leopard 1-based Beaver armored bridge layer vehicle and Taurus armored recovery vehicle, bought with the original Leopard C1, and the Badger armored engineer vehicle with a dozer blade and excavator bucket, which entered service in 1990. A number of the Canadian Leopard tanks were pulled out of service during the mid-2000s in anticipation of replacing them with the 8-wheeled mobile gun system. These plans were put on hold after use experience revealed serious shortcomings related to stability and weight. Of the obsolescent tanks, 23 were sold to companies in North America, 4 put in museums or used as monuments, including 2 at the Bovington Tank Museum, 16, and 21 used as hard targets on ranges. Canada sent a squadron of Lord Strathcona's Horse, Royal Canadians, to Afghanistan in the fall of 2006 equipped with 17 Leopard C2 tanks with the Mexas add-on armor, as well as 4 recovery vehicles and FOUR engineering vehicles. 17, 18. The armored squadron was intended to provide convoy protection, supporting Canada's provincial reconstruction teams and other organizations equipped with lighter vehicles, and combat operations. The first tanks arrived in Kandahar in mid-October 2006. 19. On 2 December 2006, the Leopards stationed in Kandahar entered the field, marking the first time since the Korean War that a Canadian armored squadron had sent tanks into an active war zone. They fired their guns in combat for the first time in as many years the following day, in response to a Taliban rocket attack. The deployed tank squadron was in combat operations from late 2006 until July 2011. The first squadron deployed with C2 Mexas. In mid-July 2007, a thermal cover and a cooling unit with crew vests was added to the tanks. The tank squadron was augmented in mid-September 2007 with the 20 Leopard 2A6 with slat bar type armor. The Barracuda system was added in mid-2008. In late 2010, the tank squadron added 5 of the new Leopard 2 4MS. The tank squadron operated with the 3 different Leopards until it was pulled from combat operations. The C2 mexers with the mine plows, mine rollers and the dozers were used alongside the Leopard 2S, until a bracket